U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken has pointed out the importance of government accountability to any functioning democracy, making reference to the investigation of the shooting of NSAS protesters in Lekki. The U.S. envoy says reports are critical, but the action that follows them are even more important. While he says the U.S. is looking forward to seeing the full results of the investigation and will make a decision on arms sales to Nigeria based in part on the findings and whether those responsible are held accountable.
We saw the conclusion this week of the independent Lagos State Judicial Panel of Inquiry's work and the transmission of its final report. And this is clearly an important step toward accountability for the killings and other abuses alleged to have been committed by security forces during the NSARS protests a year ago. So we're very much looking forward to the federal government and the Lagos state government and other state governments taking measures to address the alleged abuses as well as the grievances of victims and their families. Reports are critical, but what counts as much and even more is whether there's action that follows those reports. I'd be very interested in getting your perspectives on that.
Well, to assess Blinken's visit to Africa and Nigeria in particular, we're joined by African Affairs analyst Paul Ejime. Glad to have you join us on Newsnight. Let's start off with the president, Joe Biden. He says he's going, from Blinken anyway, is going to host African leaders in a summit to boost what he calls cooperation. How do you see this policy differing, from that of his predecessor, Donald Trump, of course, and what should be the disposition of African leaders to what Blinken has said?
So, without pouring cold water on all those who are expecting too much, we had an Obama, an African American, and it was felt that, well, as if he was elected by Africans. Let's face it, these are presidents of America, and that is their primary responsibility and primary constituency. So whatever they do, and look at the elections, how much did Africa feature in those campaigns? Because that is what matters, and they deliver. Unlike in Africa, they try to deliver on what they promised during their elections. Africa didn't feature much, apart from the fact that, Black Lives Matters, and that is for those who are living there. So I wouldn't want to, let me not play the devil's advocate here, but we should try to temper our expectation. This is Joe Biden that was the vice president to Obama. Yeah. Was he not?
He was.
For 8 years.
So, for 18 years.
8 years.
8 years. So, as VP, he had say, okay, he wasn't in charge.
He didn't have so much power as VP. But give him that.
Much has not changed. It is the same template of Republican and then the Democrats when they come to government. They raise this hope. How much happens to that is how Africans themselves, what do they want? Because here, what I see is competition.
With
they are
China?
only rising, yes, trying to.
We're going to come to that.
Okay, yes, yeah.
Let's see how that plays out.
That is what is. You see them. So they go to where China. They go to where Japan, calling Africans. Very soon, the last time they went to Paris, calling African leaders, and they march to these capitals. That is what America is doing. America thinks that it's probably losing influence in Africa.
Yes.
And so wants to make up. So that is where, so the point will be, what will Africa get from that kind of summit?
And that's the question.
Not who calls the summit.
That's the question that
Yes.
I would like to, pose to you. What do you think Africa should get from this relationship? And do you think Africa has made a good case? Well, I mean, talking about Nigeria, we heard from the Nigerian, authorities saying that there's a need for the U.S. to push other industrialized countries to pay up or at least to, keep to the promise of $100 billion to developing countries, especially in the fight against climate change.
Yes.
Was that a good case? And what other things did you expect to hear from the African end of it?
Well, it is, even if they multiply that amount, it's not, it won't be too much. But the issue is, they had told us that who pollutes will pay. Africa is not emitting so much. Africa is not the problem when it comes to climate change or climate problems. They are the ones, but they are not doing what they should do. Africa has so much, and let us not say that we have to neglect private conflict. We shouldn't do that. But there are so many priorities that Africa has to deal with. Okay, that talking about this climate change requires a lot more from those people who are now preaching to Africa to do something. What is the percentage of what you are emitting? That now it becomes your
Blinken,
body.
Blinken, let me put this out there. Blinken did say that, look, there's a need for, Nigeria to get back on the driver's seat as far as leadership in Africa is concerned.
Okay.
And that African problems should be solved by African countries or by Africa. Is that not
I
a
wish
good
they could
point that's
they
been
could
made?
leave Africans to solve their own problems too, because
external politics on the ground.
Yes, that is part of the problem. Look at all the places. Look at Mali. Look at Guinea. Look at Sudan. Now Ethiopia. All of them. They all have on the hand, external forces playing there. Particularly when you have resources, and that is the issue. Look at Congo. Congo has never known peace, and it is not for nothing. It is because of the resources there. And who are the people? They create, at times, I don't want to label, you would ask me for evidence of who did what.
Yes.
But they have the underhand way, or they have people in Africa working for them, doing this dirty job, creating crisis, and then in the process, exploiting African. Mali, for instance. Northern Mali is not accessible by the government in Bamako. But there, exploitation of Malian resources is taking place.
Paul,
so these are the issues that when will African leaders lead?
When will African leaders lead? A good line there. I'm sure they're listening. They're hearing you. Let me take this quote from Blinken. Quite interesting for me, the way I say it. Too often, international infrastructure deals are opaque, coercive, burdening countries with unimaginable debts, and environmentally destructive, not benefiting the people who actually live there. We will do things differently. This is quite instructive, if you ask me. Like I said, how do you look at that? Was he also
well, talk is cheap,
referring to America?
One would rather see the walking the talk. We know our own Ogoni here. Who are the people who caused the devastation in Ogoni?
Shell.
Shell, a Nigerian company? Is it an African company? So we have to, they shouldn't be preaching to the converted. Okay. They have to do the heavy, they hold their responsibility. If you were to apportion blames, they hold it, the lion's share.
Are you not giving them a chance at all?
No, I am.
Are you not giving them?
I am, but we have to be realistic. Because this peppering, this idea of clapping once they make any statement, or they are giving you something, or perhaps what they have also taken out of your continent, you now clap for them. It's like somebody telling you took 1,000 naira and is giving you.
But would you clap for them on the issue of NSAS? The points that have been raised.
That is another issue. When will we stop? Looking for validation from foreign countries. Why wouldn't Nigerians be the ones to call governments to order? Why wouldn't Africans be the ones to call their leaders to order, to accountable?
That's what you
said. And not wait.
African leaders should lead. That's
what
I'm talking about
exactly.
when you say that.
Okay.
All right, we'll leave it there.
Thank you very much, Paul Ejime, Global Affairs Analyst. Thank you for joining us